Pittsburgh Pile Driver Podcast is...
Oops, I'm breaking the fourth wall.
Oh, I love that sound because it means we're into the Breaking Kayfabe Lounge. And to christen it, since we're here relaxing with all the people here, let's go ahead and there we go. All right. Ooh. The sweet sounds of beverage. Like every time I crack a beer, I'll go out to my beer fridge. And I'll order a beer from the Breaking Kayfabe Lounge. They'll bring it to me.
Yeah, come on.
I'm sorry. I gotta keep this up. The I got this koozie, and it's not like a koozie like one of the neoprene like beer koozie things. You know what I mean? That like people give away for promotional things. It's one called
those cheaper ones.
It's one called #not sponsored. By the way, it's called Brewmate, and it's like metal, and everything, and
nice.
it's one for pounders. And like generally when I get beer anymore, I'll get a pounder because it's like when I have little cans, I go I'll have 700 of them. You know what I mean? Like they just go down like nothing. Like they're just, I'm done with that one. I'll get another one. I'm done with that one. I'll get another one. And then it turns into, so I started doing pounders because I'm like, I have one, take my time, but I want to make sure it's cold because I take my time with them. And this thing is great. But the problem is it goes right up to the rim of the like top of the can. So I forget what kind of
tall boy then.
Yeah, it's a tall boy koozie. I really like it. It's really good. And it like vacuum seals. So like it keeps it like contained. It's neat. It's a neat little thing. I got it on sale. But I forget what beer's in here.
Oh dear.
Like I'll put the thing in there and I'll just forget what's in there and I'll take a sip and I'll be like, I'll forget I don't have like a Mick Ultra or something in here. I'll take a sip and it's an IPA and go, hold on.
Mm-hmm. What you need to do is you need to get yourself a dry erase marker and just write on the koozie what beer it is when you put it in there. And then you just wipe it away for your next beer and bam.
This is why I keep you around. Bartender, one dry erase marker, please. They're not listening to me. I got the finger, and they're holding up a piece of paper. That's my tab from last month. I'm gonna ignore that. No. So okay, I have a question for you, Ransom. We're both becoming men of mature times. Yes.
In number. Probably not in mind.
Well, no. In fact, that's probably getting smaller and smaller. But
so is my brain cells. So that's all of that's true.
And again, what a funny coincidence. We were just talking about beer and getting brain cells smaller. But there's certain things like, and I know this is kind of old hat discussion, but like people who are in their mid-30s will absolutely get it. Like when you go visit people, first of all, I will preface this with, it is always wonderful when you have friends that will put you up, for the night when you're traveling or whatever. If it's like, hey, we got, you can come crash on the couch, or we have a guest bedroom or whatever. Like it's very nice. But like, there's certain things that as you go along that you just kind of like stop doing. And it kind of relates to the show How I Met Your Mother. They have a list called the Murtaugh list, where you're too old for that shit. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's like shit you can't do. And like one of the things that I kind of thought about, and this stems from a little road trip I took with my singer from my band, is crashing on people's couches. Like when it's like, you're going to crash on a couch. At a certain point, does it kind of stop being acceptable to like call someone and be like, hey man, I'm going to be in your area. You mind if I crash on your couch? You know what I mean? I know that's a tough question because we're all very generous. And
yeah, like I think it all varies on the friend. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
Like, I wouldn't find it strange in the slightest if it's like, oh, hey, you know, if you're like, hey, I've got Monday off and there's a pay-per-view on Sunday and it's going to be late, it might be snowy, I really don't feel like driving home, but I want to come over and hang out and watch a pay-per-view with you. Well, hey, man, either crash on the couch or bring your air mattress over and set the friggin' thing up in the middle of my living room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't faze me. That doesn't seem abnormal to me. I don't think no matter how old you get or I get, if it's like, hey, it just, I don't know. It doesn't strike me as abnormal. And so I think it all depends on, like, who you are and what maybe life situation you're in.
True. I didn't really think about it that way. Well, it was because with my, my singer, we were going down to, we were going down to the Berg to see a buddy's band play. And I'm very lucky. I have tons of friends in the Berg that I could call and crash at, and yourself included. Usually I've done it before with pay-per-views. Like I've brought my air mattress and crashed. But for some reason this time I had this like weird, like kind of like blustery thing where I was like, listen, I'm pushing 36. It's time for me to be an adult and I'm going to get a hotel. You got to get a hotel. I got to get a hotel. But there was another factor to this that I'll also bring up, and it kind of that could lead to a whole nother discussion. But it was like for me, I was like, okay, I'm gonna like, I usually like to make day trips. You know what I mean? Because I have not become the party type. If I do go somewhere, like if I get together with like you and Beef and Tom, and like we sit around and we're having a couple beers and we stay up and we're talking and like talking about wrestling, talking about whatever, and it's like 2 in the morning. That's different, but I'm talking about like partying at like a bar and then an after party and stuff. Like, nah,
oh, good Lord.
Yeah, that's just not me anymore, man. And
no.
And I know I sound like a bummer drummer to a lot of people, or I sound ungrateful, like that because they invited me to this stuff. But it's like, dude, it's just not who I am anymore. Like, it's just not my.
I don't think. Again, from my perspective, I think it's all in. Like where you are in life. Like for me, honestly, I would say maybe 2 to 3 years after college. So I would have been what, 23,
24.
24?
Yeah.
Yeah. So right around that age is when it hit for me like, oh, the like late night party out at a place. It dropped off and it dropped off in its desirability. Easy for me to say. I haven't even been drinking. It dropped off in its desirability level. Like I just didn't want to do it. But like you said, even now, like if you and Beef, Tom, whoever, like if they come over to my house, we get a fire going, we're drinking drinks, drinking beers, doing whatever, and it winds up being 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and we're still at it. That's a different story. Like it's a relaxed environment. I'm not out anywhere. I don't have to worry about crowds of people. I have never liked crowds of people. So that probably was one of those things where it was easy for me to lose that desire to go out to bars, especially bars that get late and get super busy.
Mm-hmm.
Even in college, like the Loomis. When we would go to the Loomis in Clarion, and it would get super busy. We would be there for like an hour, and it would be like 9:30, maybe 10 o'clock, and I'm like, all right, guys, you guys ready to go? And people are like, dummy, we got here 45 minutes ago. What are you doing? Do you have to poop? Like, why do you want to leave so bad? And it's like, no, like it's getting loud. It's getting super packed. Everything is sticky because nobody can keep their drink in their glass because apparently when everybody goes to the bar and the bar gets crowded, everybody turns into a 5-year-old and is incapable of keeping the drink in the glass.
It's so true, though. It's so true. And, like, dude, isn't
I don't know. But I don't besmirch anybody, you know what I mean? Like you're saying, I don't besmirch anybody who wants to do it. I'm not going to shit on somebody who invites me to it. Like, if someone's like, hey, man, you want to go out to this bar? It's going to be great. It's going to be late. It's going to be packed. It's going to be sticky. I'm not going to be like, well, you're dumb because we're in our mid-30s and you idiot. You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm just going to be like, hey, I appreciate the invite. Maybe another time. Like, I'm just not feeling it.
Oh, dude, and I absolutely understand it. Like, you're preaching to the choir. It's weird. I've never, even in my halcyon days, I was never one for bars like that, like the Loomis or in Lock Haven, the Fallon, and here in Clearfield we have a place called the Underground, which I love playing there. Like, my band plays there. It's super fun to actually play there. And the owner's great, and it is a cool joint because they have a pool table, they have beer pong set up. Like, it feels like it's a little bit of going back to your college days, which it at times, when you're in the right mood, can be kind of fun. But like you said, for me, after about half an hour, I'm done. Like, that's me. I'd rather go somewhere where I can sit, have a drink, talk with my friends, and hold court, if you will. Like, that's more my speed. It's always been more my speed, even back when I should have been in the more party-centric kind of thing. But that kind of goes back to my original point, is that because of where the gig was, to any individual, short of maybe Tom, it was like 45 minutes. You know what I mean? So by the time the gig was done, it was 11 o'clock, and then I would have had to drive 45 minutes to get to where, to get to your place. And then it's midnight, and then you're walking in being like, hey, man, thanks for letting me crash. And I'm like, no. So I got a hotel, and, it was just one of those things that I was just like, yeah, it's hotel time. This is hotel time. Like, this is cowboy up, get a hotel. And weirdly enough, and this could speak to where I'm at with, like, mentally and etc., is I treated it like, I was like, the whole gig, I was loving the gig. They played awesome. The band's called Pixelated, by the way. They are super good. They play, like, 90s rock stuff. You know what I mean? So, like,
Tell me about them at one point.
Yeah.
That name sounds familiar.
I've told you guys about them. They're great.
Okay.
Like, all the guys in the band are super nice, like, and they're absolutely awesome. So, like, went there, and I was enjoying the gig, but my mind was definitely on going, oh, I can't wait to go to the hotel. Because I was treating it like...
Oh, really?
I was going to be alone. It was going to be quiet. I had a nice big bed. Like, I brought my Switch with me. Like, it was like, I was like, and in my mind, it was like, I went, oh, it's like a little vacation.
Oh, so you were getting some well-deserved alone time.
Yeah.
Like getting to that hotel, you could relax out on the bed. You got your Switch with you. You don't have anybody else in the room or the house or whatever they have to worry about. You can just sit back with your thoughts and just breathe.
Absolutely. And like, it was
nice.
It was great. Like, but then I realized, I was like, wow, staying in a hotel after a gig is like a vacation for me. I was like, what am I doing with my life?
Was it really?
Yeah, it was like one of those things where I was like, wow. I was like, that's become like in my mind, like a relaxing idea. And I was like, and I kind of had this, like, while I'm watching the show, I had this weird existential, like, oh shit, kind of moment. Like, where I was like, what, like, and then I started kind of like getting in my own head, and I was like, no, just enjoy the show, deal with this later. I was like, cool, we'll do that later. We just packed it away. Like, I was like, we'll just, we'll cover that later. But yeah. But it also, like I said, it begged the question to me. I was like, at what point is it not like, you call your buddy and be like, hey man, I'm going to be there at midnight. Let me crack, like.
Yeah.
It's just, it's.
Well, I think, and again, I think it all depends on your relationship with that person. You know what I mean? Like, a casual friend, I probably wouldn't do that to a casual friend.
No.
there was good Lord, I haven't seen this guy since before Afton was born, but we would hang out every once in a while, and he was very OCD.
Okay.
With like all of his stuff.
Uh-huh.
And he was OCD with his house, like everything, just very meticulous. And I didn't ask. He offered. He's like, hey, because he lived in Elwood City, which is I think 45 minutes to an hour maybe from Butler.
Okay.
So like I'd gone over there at one point to hang out with him. Tara was away for something, so it was just me anyway. So he's like, hey, man, you can crash, no big deal. And, oh, Lord, this was, like I said, it was before Afton was born, so it was, over 4 years ago? But I just didn't, I don't know. I didn't have that comfortability level being like, because I know you're particular with your stuff, and I don't know what his morning routine is, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be sleeping when he's like, okay, it's time for me to, fix up my living room here and put these blankets away and start to, let's go.
Right.
So I didn't. I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'll stay as late as we can go, and it'll be fine, and I'll head home. Not a big deal. I don't mind. It's fine. But someone like you, Tom, Beef, like if you guys are coming over for a thing, and even if you don't plan on staying, even if like you have all the intention in the world of going home, you don't bring an air mattress, you don't bring toiletries or anything like that. You're like, I'm going to drive home. And whether or not you get too tired or had a few too many, and then, it's a change on the fly. Suddenly you're like, oh, shit, well, I could go home, but it's probably better if I stay.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to do everything I can to convince you to stay just because I think it's going to be safer that way.
Yeah.
And I've got all the stuff that you could need. You know what I mean? I've got toiletries, towels, whatever, bedding, all that shit. We have extra toothbrushes downstairs. It's not a big deal. So, like, with you guys, even if you were out and had nothing to do with what I was doing, like if Tara and I and the kids are hanging out at home, and you're out down, in Pittsburgh, like at a gig or something, and you're on your way home, and you're like, oh, shit, I just got real tired. I don't feel like dropping all this money on a hotel. I feel like, with us being as close as we are, it wouldn't matter what time of day it is. It could be 11 o'clock at night. You could call me up and be like, hey, man, I'm going to be rolling through Butler in like a half an hour on my way home. I'm really zonked, and I don't want to spend the cash for a hotel. Like, my answer would immediately be like, yeah, man, like, come on by. Do you have the air mattress? No? Do you need the couch made up? Because I'll make it up. It'll be ready when you get here. Even if it's like a pit stop for you. Like, you come in, sleep, shit, shower, you're on your way.
Yeah.
Even if it's not like a fraternizing thing where it's like, you don't have to feel obligated with me to be like, well, I'm crashing this house, so I should probably hang for a little bit and, like shoot the shit. Really, I mean, you, Beef, Tom, like the people that I'm closest with, you could literally use my house as a hotel. Stop over, do your thing, sleep it off, head out. Yeah. And I would much rather prefer you doing that even than spending money that, you don't need to spend on a hotel.
Right.
When my place is like right here.
Well, and like I said, it wasn't like afraid of asking people. It was just more along the lines of like, I went, having the ability and being like, this is what, it was also one of those, this is what I want to do kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
well, like you had even said, like you wouldn't have probably gotten that cathartic place if you had stayed at my house, right. Because I've got 2 kids upstairs, my wife and I've been getting up 3 times a night to pee because I'm old. And apparently that's a thing that happens to me now where I have to freaking pee every night. I can't sleep a full night in bed, so like if you needed that to be like, look, I just want to be in a nice quiet room with my own shit, my own space, everybody leave me alone, then yeah, man, that's what you need.
Yeah, and I thought it, but then it turned from like a negative thing, and I also kind of worried about like, oh, people are going to get upset. Like that's the other thing is like, and this sounds a little bit like a humble brag, and I don't mean it to. I'm lucky enough to know a lot of people and have a lot of friends, and there are times where I'll go to Pittsburgh wherever. I'll go to Pittsburgh State College, out east, and I'll just go because I want to be alone. And I just want to take a road trip, and I want to go and do my music store thing or whatever, And and I'll just go, and I worry. I'm like, well, if I go and people aren't there, I'm like, well, I don't know if I should call people. I should see if they want to have dinner. I should see if they want to do this. I should see if they want to do... Like, it's one of those things that I get my mental gymnastics going, like, oh, people are going to resent me if I don't call them and reach out. But, like, you know what the thing is? Like, I've realized lately, the more you go along, that's like a leftover artifact from younger days. Because when you're younger, you don't have as many, like honestly, and I know this, like, this is, I should change the opening slate and the name of this. We should call it the Breaking Kayfabe Retirement Home. Like, like, we're like, but it's true. Like, the more you go along, the more I go, like, people are not gonna be mad at me if I do my thing. No. Like, because when you're younger, if you go and do something, people are, oh, well, why didn't you call me to do it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, even in college. Like,
yeah, why would the people would be mature enough now to be like, everybody's got their own shit going on,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And like, and and I'm lucky that, like, you and Tom and Beef don't do this to me, because I've run into before where people will say to me, they're like, oh, well, you don't have kids, you're not married, like, almost like your concerns and your problems aren't as valid. You know what I mean? Like, or like your time, because you have all this free time because you're not married and you don't have kids. I'm like, well, that's not true, but
no, no, definitely not.
And I know, like I said, you guys don't do that. I'm lucky that I have a bunch of dudes that I do podcasts with and I'm good friends with that don't do that. Because I've run into that before. But, like, it's just kind of one of those things that, like, I tend to get myself in those mental gymnastics. And that's why I think that night was kind of cathartic, because, like, even the, like, after party and stuff, because, like I said, I'm buddies with the people in the band. Like, they, they're going to go, oh, we're going to so-and-so's house and we're going to hang out and party. I'm like, dude, no, I'm good. Like, and it's not that I don't want to see you guys. It's not that it wouldn't be fun. It's just, I've been up since 5 o'clock in the morning. Like,
yeah,
like,
right.
Because it's a Friday.
You need a little bit of rest here, man.
Yeah. Like, and, or whatever. Like, it's just that, it's that kind of thing. I don't know.
I hear you there.
And it's even with gigging. Like, when I do play my own gigs, like, I first of all, I always drive myself. That's the other thing. I'm big on driving myself places. Like, I want to drive me to a gig. Like, okay. Because then I can, like, once we're done loading out and we're done cleaning up and we're done with all that stuff, I can just leave. I'm not at the mercy of another person. Like, I can just...
And you don't feel like you're going to put somebody else out if you're like, hey, man, been up since 5. It's going on midnight, 1 o'clock. I need to get some sleep. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to worry about putting somebody else out who wants to stay and have a good time. And you're like, hey, man, I'm damn near passing out. Let's go.
Yeah, and, like, I think it's... I don't know, man. And I don't know if it's by dint of COVID or me getting on and quote unquote maturing. I just don't want to, like, I want to do my own thing. Like, I want to just do my own thing. I don't mind. I was actually talking to a bunch of people that I was in band with in college. We had a Zoom call and we were talking, and I said, I've gotten to the point now where, like, I don't mind being alone. Like, I don't mind it, because the stress of the stress of not being, hey, you got to be here, we're meeting at this place, we're doing this. Like, I still like people, I still like being around, like, I still like talking to people, but I like me time. Like, I like being able to just go, like, sitting here, I'll be watching a YouTube video or I'll be playing a video game, and then I'll just stop and go, I'm going to go downstairs and work on this, like in my workshop. Or I'm going to play some guitar, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do, like, you know, I know there's a lot, if there's anybody listening to this and they're going like, wow, that's kind of selfish. You're being really selfish. And I'm like, well,
I don't think it is,
no.
though. Like, I don't.
No, like, and that's the thing is like, I've gotten a lot better at not having that anxiety about like, you know, doing my own thing. Like, because I always felt bad. I'm like, well, I want to do this. That makes me selfish. I should want to do what other people do. Like,
no. Like, I definitely see a difference between selfish and what you're doing. Like, what you're doing is you're doing things that you want to do that are good for your mental space, and you're doing it on your own time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this isn't anybody else's time that you're taking up. Doing your own thing. You know what I mean? I think that would maybe cross over into the selfish category when, I apologize. Like, if you have a commitment to somebody else to be somewhere or to do something, and you blow them off because you just feel like playing a video game, or you blow them off because you just feel like watching some TV.
Yeah.
Like, okay, maybe that will transition over into the selfish thing if you've already committed to do something with someone or for someone. Yeah, but when you're doing what you want to do on your own time, no, that's what everybody needs to get their headspace right. And then, you know, I think especially now, a lot of people need that. A lot of people need that time to get their headspace right.
Right.
The world is a shit show.
Yeah.
And it can really start to weigh on you. Just everything going on, not only in the world, but in everybody's own individual lives. You need that time to be able just to take a breath and exhale and go, I'm going to unplug from all this crazy shit that's happening. And I'm just going to be here and concentrate on this moment right now and not have to stress myself out and fill my brain with all this other crap going on around me.
Yeah.
You'll drive yourself nuts if you do that all the time.
Oh my God, absolutely. Absolutely. And like,
drive yourself nuts.
Like, and you can't do, well, that was another point I made to them on the Zoom call. Cause this is people that like, I'm in touch with through like liking posts on Facebook or commenting occasionally, but we haven't sat down and actually had a conversation in a while. These folks from band. And I told them, I said, weirdly enough for me, yeah, the whole COVID thing and restrictions, it's been a bummer. And it's made life very difficult. But
yeah,
for me personally, it kind of forced my hand into a healthier lifestyle.
Yes.
It did. It really, like mentally and physically, it forced me to doing it because like with everything that happened last year in my life and then that happening, it was almost like it took all the other distractions away, like the ancillary stuff, and it went here. It like took the filter off of the problems I was having. And it went, here's your problems, fix them. And I went, okay, well, how do I do this? And you do little things at a time. And I you know, I've been, one of the things that I've been doing is I've been trying to stay away from my phone. Like, so.
Oh, that's a big one. Oh, that's a big one.
Dude, and I, you know, if it wasn't for the podcast and my guitar repair thing, I wouldn't have Facebook anymore. I wouldn't. Like, keeping in touch with people is nice, but like, there's plenty of other platforms that are objectively less poisonous than Facebook.
Yes.
You know, and so if it wasn't for those two things, I would not have Facebook. And like, I've been staying away from it. And even lately, like I've been, when I go to the gym, this is why the gym started being, this time it's different going there. Mm-hmm. And I know I talk about the gym a lot. I know, but like, this is the mental side of it. This isn't the broy bro lift bro side of it.
I was just giving shit. I wasn't serious.
No, I know. And but like, this is the part that I don't really get to talk about, is that when I go there, like, I will be an anxiety-ridden mess all day. Like, at work, with anything that I have going on, I will be a mess. I leave my phone in the car, and I go in there, and for that hour and a half, I'm in the gym. I have no stress. None.
Yep.
And it's not even from the physical side of things. It's mentally. It's gone. And then the second I get back in the car and I look at my phone and I see I have all these missed messages and I have all these things, it all just kind of comes back.
Yeah.
And I just go, God, oh, fuck. Like.
No, I'm right there with you. Like, when I do, like, workouts and whatnot, it's a mental release as much as it is a physical improvement for my body.
Yeah.
Because, I do the beach body stuff, and the one trainer that I do her workouts, she said on multiple occasions, like, if you're angry or you're anxious or you have so much going on through your head, she's like, you'll feel so much better, just not only physically, but you'll feel better mentally once you're done doing something physical, whether it's, a gym lifting workout or whether it's a cardio workout. When you don't have that mental focus and all that other stuff, and your mental focus is pushing your body further, whether it's further in cardio or further in lifting, when your mental focus is on pushing your body, all that other stuff just fades away.
Absolutely.
And I didn't really think about it. Yeah, I didn't really think about it until she said that. And I thought, well, crap, you know what? You're right. Like, I could be pissed about something or anxious about something or just worked up or mentally exhausted. And if I could bring myself to get up and get going and do that workout, afterwards, I'm sweaty, I'm physically tired, but mentally I feel so much better. Because I don't think about that worldly stuff when I'm in that workout moment. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I don't know if it's the same with you or if it's the same with a lot of people, but I don't think about it because I think about what I'm doing. I'm thinking about pushing myself to do better. I'm thinking about pushing my body to get through this workout. And it all melts away.
Yeah. And
it's great.
Well, and that's why, and again, this isn't like a thing at the video. The reason that I talk about it so much is because I tell people, I go, look, my whole life I've been a big dude, and I did put one of the few posts I do anymore on Facebook. I put up the whole hashtag Transformation Tuesday thing. Like,
I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, the thing. Mine wasn't a genuine one because I'm still a big dude, and I'm not looking to be thin. I'm never going to be thin. I'm always going to be a big old shit brick house. Like, I'm gonna be. Like, I'm just, like, and that's why I do what I do, my routine. That's why, because it facilitates. It's like, okay, who am I? What can I do? That's why the strongman thing works. And like,
yes.
But like, I put it up and I found this picture of me in college, and it was at like a band formal or something.
I think I saw that.
Yeah,
I think I saw it. Yeah.
And it was when I still had hair and everything. But they took that. I saw that picture and I was like, oh my God, I was enormous. I was just like, holy shit. Like, I was like, and then the current picture of me that's on Facebook, and I saw the difference. I was like, oh my God, I have a neck. Like, I was like, like, and
I hear you.
I feel, and like I said, I feel better. I even said on a post, I said, like, I used to, like, after standing for 15 minutes or so, my back would hurt. It doesn't anymore. Mm-hmm. It's little things like that. It's quality of life that make you feel good. And I feel good, so I want everyone to feel good. And,
yes.
And if it can work for me, who is objectively a lazy human being, it'll work for you. And like the beach body, and the thing is, it's individual. Like what you do, like the walking and that beach body stuff, dude. I looked into the beach body thing. I was like, no way, I couldn't do that. That's it's intense. That is intense.
It is. The cardio that they do is, oh, good Lord.
It's like, it's very hit based, right? The high intensity thing.
Yes.
It like, oh man, if you ever can get up to Clearfield once things calm down a little bit, you really need to try the Echo bike that we have at our gym, because you do that hit based kind of training, and you're walking, like your cardio is really strong. You've been doing incredible, by the way. Like, but we have that Rogue Echo bike, and it has a little program on there, and it's one of those, for anyone who doesn't know what the Echo bike is, it's a big fan bike. You know those like stationary bikes that have the big fan on the front? Mm-hmm. They're that. But I don't think you can't adjust the tension. It just is what it is. However, the thing you program, you pick like a hit program. Like you just pick like what you want to do. And I do it for a warm up where it's 4 minutes, but it's 10 seconds as hard as you can go. And it's on you to do that. You got to push yourself. And then you do 20 seconds of like you go, but you go at a slower pace. And then you do 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 10 seconds, et cetera, until the 4 minutes is over. I went, 4 minutes, I can do that. My cardio's not great, but I got that 4 minutes. Dude, the first time I did it, I got off that bike and I literally had to lay down. Because I was dying. My heart rate was like 184. Like
it's nuts.
Oh.
It's nuts. And and the one thing that you said, it really resonates with me because I wholeheartedly believe that 100% myself. Is that I believe, and I think that I'm echoing your statement, and if I'm not, please correct me because I don't want to put words in your mouth. But I believe that anybody can do it. Whether it's starting a lifting routine or whether it's starting a cardio routine, I don't think, yes, there are going to be extenuating circumstances where there's physical limitations, yes. But I truly believe that if you decide that you want to make that change and you want to get healthier, you can do it. No matter where you're starting at. If you're starting at 180 pounds and you're just like, well, I'm just naturally thin, or I'm naturally at this weight.
Yeah.
But like my endurance isn't good. My strength isn't good. I look good, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Or whether or not you're starting at 250. Like I started at 250.
Ooh.
And I had a sedentary lifestyle. I sat behind a desk all the time. I came home and I sat on the couch or I sat on the chair. And after everybody was in bed, I would sit some more and then I would go to bed. I barely got any exercise at all. And it was, my endurance was terrible. I could feel my heart pounding if I had to get up and go up and down a couple flights of steps.
Cool.
Like I could feel my heart pounding. I was, like I was winded.
Yeah.
And I was sitting on my couch one day because I was working from home. They had sent us home. It was right when the whole first lockdown started, probably like, it was getting on towards like the end of April.
Yeah.
I'm sitting on my couch with my laptop on my lap, and I could, you know what? It is what it is. It's embarrassing to say, but this is what got me to go, like, there's a problem. I sat forward a little bit, like I was like leaning back on my couch. I sat forward a little bit, and it's embarrassing to say, but I feel like I need to say it because it pushes me to go. I could feel the bottom of my man tits touching my stomach. Like I sat forward and I went, what? Oh my God. There's no gap anymore. Like, I never had pecs. I was never muscly. I was always a skinny dude.
Yeah.
When college hit, I started putting on weight. And then after college, I maintained that weight and then got bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Like, I was never muscly, but I feel like I can safely say I was not meant to be fat. I wasn't meant to be muscly. I was meant to be like a wiry dude.
Yeah.
So I'll never be that strong man. I'll never be that guy that's lifting all the weights. I hope to get stronger, but I'm like that's never going to be me. I don't think I was ever built for that. But it was at that point where I was like, oh, you have a problem. Like, this is a problem now. When your man boobs are touching your gut, there's a problem here. And I started that beach body thing, and I started with the lowest intensity, lowest time. It was a half an hour cardio workout.
Yeah.
So it wasn't one of those high intensity interval trainings. Those are usually shorter, like 15, 20, and then they do work their way up to like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
This was a 30-minute, like lower level cardio exercise. And I'm like, well, I got to start somewhere, so I'm going to start here. And I'm not kidding you. When I did it, the first week that I did it, I honestly thought that I had COVID.
Really?
Because my lungs hurt. Like, halfway through that exercise, my lungs hurt.
Oh.
And I thought, uh-oh, like, I'm having trouble breathing. Like, I might have COVID. I don't know how I got it, but I might have it. But that wasn't it. It was just, I was so out of shape that 15 minutes into a cardio exercise, I was struggling to breathe. But, like you said, you push yourself through it and you start somewhere. And if I started that workout and I needed to take a 5-second, like if I needed to take a minute break, if I needed to just catch my breath for a minute and then start back up again, or not go as intense the second half of it, but just keep going.
Yeah.
I think anybody can start, and it's going to be very tough at the beginning. But the more you go, the better shape you get in, the more weight you lose, the more muscle you build, the better things are going to get. Now, you should always keep pushing yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you should really never get to the point where you're like, oh, this is a breeze. Like, you go to the gym for an hour and you walk out and you're like, nothing's sore. I'm good. Like, okay, it's time to start upping the weights. It's time to start pushing yourself to do more if you're not feeling it afterwards. And the same with the cardio that I'm doing. Like, if I get done with a cardio exercise and I'm like, cakewalk, super easy. Like, okay, now it's time that I kick it up a notch. Like, maybe I go from a beginner to an intermediate, or an intermediate to an advanced level program and start to do more. But I believe that anybody can do it. It's just, you have to have that determination to start, and you have to have that will and desire to push through the uncomfortable parts. Push through, like the next day you're like, man, my muscles are sore. I don't want to do it. It sucked. Because I had those days. When I first started, man, I had those days. I'm like, I don't want to do it. I just want to sit. I want to sit and I want to have a glass of milk and some Oreos. But it's like, no, get up and do it. Yes, you're sore. Yes, it sucks. But the more you do it, the better your body will get and the better you'll feel.
And
sorry,
no,
I'm done with my rant.
No, it was good. I like hearing this, man. Like it really makes me feel good. And I know if there's anyone out there rolling their eyes at this and going like, oh, it's the cliche of people. I'm like, dude, the thing is, you can say it's a cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason. Like actually something really cool happened today when I was on my way home, and today as of the recording. So when I started going Really quick, a quick aside before I get to the actual story. When you mentioned about like upping the weights, I was doing lightweight high rep for cardio, like low reps, but lightweight high reps. Mm-hmm. And then I would alternate back to high weight, low reps for strength, right?
Yes.
And I was doing it months, like switching month at a time. And then I went, okay, let's switch week by week. And I tried that. I went back to low weight, high rep. And the first thing that week was leg day. And I could not get my heart rate above 95. I couldn't.
Nice.
Like doing low weight, high rep. I just couldn't. I could not get my heart rate going. And I was frustrated because I was like, why isn't it? And I went, okay, you know what? I'm not going to try and hammer away at this this week and try and just make it work. I'm going to go back to high weight, low rep, which the thing is my low weight, high rep thing was 12, 10, 10, 8. So 40 reps. My high weight, low rep is 10, 10 warm up at lower weights and then 5, 5, 5, 5 with increasing weight. And I get a better workout doing the high weight, low rep thing, like lower sets, I guess. So I was like, that's what we're going to do from here on out. I'm just going to do that. And unless I injure myself, that's what we're going to do. Like this past leg day, I hit another personal best on incline sled. I did 640 pounds on my last working set for 5 reps.
Nice.
But anyway, something cool happened today. I had a buddy of mine that started coming with me, and you mentioned being, you're 180 pounds, 175 pounds, whatever, and you're always going to be skinny. My buddy Steve started coming to the gym with me. And Steve, before I get into all this, if you do hear this or anyone who knows who I'm talking about, like, I'm not trying to out you, and anything I say that sounds cross is going to be a joke. So prefacing that. When he first started coming with me, he said, dude, where you got? I said, dude, he wanted to get active again, and he was doing some light workout stuff at home. But I said, dude, come to the gym with me. Come to the gym. And I made a deal with him. I said, I will pay for your first month membership. And if you like it, you then pick up your payments, and we'll just keep going to the gym. If you don't like it, no harm, no foul. You tried for a month.
Right.
And I said,
that's a fair deal.
And I said, but for that month, you're mine. And he goes, no. And that was just kind of the statement of going, I'm investing in you. Like, this is me wanting you. And it put, so we got there, and the first day he came with me was my shoulder day. And it's one of my favorite days. Not my best day, but it's one of my favorite days. And we started out, we stretched. I always stretch really well, because when you're doing what I do, you got to be limber. And also, that routine can stiffen you up.
Yeah, you got to get loose. You got to get your
absolutely. You phased out. You're phasing. Oh, no. Ransom.
Am I green ring? Am I good?
You're good.
Am I better?
You're good. You're good there. There, you're good.
Hello?
Hello?
Woo!
Hello?
We're good.
We good?
Oh,
boy.
no, am I not good anymore? Oh, no. What the
you're
hell?
good. My connection's fine. What's wrong with yours?
I don't know. This is the worst.
Can you hear it? Can you hear? Oh, no, he's gone!
All right, try again.
All right,
we good?
You there?
I'm here.
Okay, good. I have the perfect place to cut that, by the way.
Come on, Skynet, let's go.
Anyway.
Faffing around.
So we stretched out, right? I'm glad you're back. So we stretched out really well, and because Steve didn't really know about this stuff, I walked him through, because form, I don't know how it is with the workouts you do, but for what I do, the 2 reasons why form is important is because if you don't have proper form, number one, you won't hit the muscle you're supposed to work. Mm-hmm. And you'll throw it into other muscles, which is not necessarily objectively a bad thing, but it's not good.
Right.
Belch. So the other reason is you could really hurt yourself, especially with stuff like deadlifts. If you don't do deadlifts right, you're gonna like I had a buddy who ruptured a disc in his back because he didn't do it right. Like, so he's okay. He's fine. But like, so anyway.
Still, that's nothing you want to go through.
No. And so Steve goes there. We did the bike, and it takes it out of you. He's like, oh, my quads are burning. I hate cardio. I'm like, I do too. Let's go. So we go out there, and we do front delt raises and side delt raises, and then we do a dumbbell military press. And after we were done with it, now Steve is a good-looking dude. You look at him; he's a good-looking dude. He's kind of cut. He's thin. You know, he's kind of got the thing going. He sat down and he was sitting there, and I'm just warming up. You know, like my heart rate's going. I'm feeling good. Got a couple workouts, a couple exercises in. We got more to do. And I look down at him. I go, "You okay?" And he's going, and I'm like, "You not that's obviously exaggerated, but like I look at him and I go, "Are you okay?" He goes, "Yeah, it's the cardio." And I was like, "What, from the bike?" And he goes, "No, this." And you know, I had been doing this for a couple months at this point, so I was starting to really hit a stride. And I forget that he also like I forget that I was like, oh yeah, this is kind of intense cardio, and being docile and dormant, like you said, having that sedentary lifestyle, and then all of a sudden not having it.
Yep,
it hits you hard. And part of and I of course, you know, was like, dude, you got this. We got about another hour of this. Okay, we got more exercises to do. We got this. It's going to be tough. Now, I didn't make him do heavy weight, obviously. Like, it, you know, we started out like, okay, let's, you know, you got this. I'm being confident. And the joke, I think I even told him this joke. I really wanted to lean down and just get in his face and go, "You're in my house now, bitch."
Oh.
Just like I wanted to do that, but I was like, no, I'm not going to do that because I want him to do better. But the cool thing that happened, he has always come to the gym with me. It's been with me. I've taught him how to do all this stuff. I've taught him form, taught him different exercises to do to keep things new and exciting. And, you know, just different ways to work muscles. And then today, I'm on my way home, and I get a text message from Steve. And I open it up and I look, and it's a picture of his notebook, and it has shoulder day written at the top. And he had his exercises, and he didn't do the full day, but he looked at it and he said, "It's not much, but it's honest work." And I went, "Did you go to the gym today?" And he said, "Yeah, I went." And I was like, it's the first day he went alone.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
That is a huge deal because for me, you know, you're meeting me. You know what I mean? And it wasn't one of those things where I said, okay, tomorrow you're doing this on your own. Like, he just did it because Friday and today I couldn't go because I was out of town. And, you know, and honestly, that kind of caused me a little anxiety because I love going. And I'm like, well, this was something I had planned for a while. It's okay. Missing a day or two, you know, occasionally is not the end of the world. But it's not ideal. But, like, I was so proud of him. I was so proud of him because he did it of his own volition. It wasn't the reason you're going is because I'm meeting someone.
Right.
And it made me so happy. I couldn't even, like, I felt like it has to feel like whenever you're a parent and your kid says, "Dad, I got into college." Like, it has to be. Like, it felt so good. Like,
man, like that's a hell of a feeling to know that you participated in motivating somebody to do better physically and for their health, and they took it upon themselves on a day where you couldn't go to go on their own. Whether or not they did the full time that you guys usually do, or they did part of that, it doesn't matter. They still went. They went on their own volition. They didn't have to have somebody go, "Okay, this is what we're doing today. I'll see you there."
Yes.
That's a hell of a thing. And that's a hell of a thing for both of you, because you, as that person as that motivator to get somebody going to improve their health, damn, that's a hell of a thing to be that motivator. And it's a great thing for him because it's like he's taken that milestone to go one step further to say, you know what, Poot's not here with me today, but damn it, I'm on this road to a better me, and I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, and that doesn't show, and people use the term dead, and I swear to God, anyone who's listening to this, we're gonna move on from all this inspirational stuff, I promise. But like, it's the thing everyone talks about. It's determination. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's determination. It's the determination to do better. It's determination. Yeah, okay, that's a factor, but I feel like that gets thrown around too much. It's almost becoming like a platitude. Like, I feel like what it is, it's not the determination to keep going. It's a change in mindset.
Yes.
It's a change in mindset, and it's a change in attitude. And yeah, I think
it's a change in lifestyle.
Yeah. Like,
it's a lifestyle thing.
And when and for anyone who hears this and doesn't get it, I know plenty of people who, when they work out, they don't feel good. Like, and not like in the way of like they feel worse than they did. They just don't like the feeling of being tired. Yeah. And I get that because I was that way. But the thing is, for me, it's more the thing that I do to keep my... Okay, before we get off this topic, I'll say mine, and then you tell me yours. Like, the motivation to keep doing it. Like, how do you keep yourself motivated? For me, the way I keep myself motivated is two things. I will watch videos of guys like Zydrunas Savickas, Martins Licis, Eddie Hall, Brian Shaw, Robert Oberst, like these strongmen. And what they do, how they do it, you know, giving you advice, telling you why they do things, you know, they're like nutrition advice, things like that. And I see that and I go, I want to do that. That's one. And the other one for me is just going, like, my goal, my long-term goal is to do an amateur strongman competition. I want to, even if it's just one, I just want to do one. Even if I come in dead last, I want to do one. I want to be able to
completing it's a big thing.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter where you finish. Completing it is a big thing.
It is. And like, I want to do one. And there's a lot of things that I need to do, like working on grip strength for like yoke carries and farmer's carry, and like then trying to figure out how to figure out doing like Atlas stone stuff, like those functional strength kind of things. Yep. That's hard to do because you can't exactly go down to your local Walmart and buy a set of Atlas stones. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Like, so, and doing like log presses and things like that. Like, it makes me excited because I go, okay, well, how do I do this? And it makes me want to do it more. Like, those are the ways I stay. How do you stay motivated? Like, what's your things that keep you motivated for this stuff?
My motivation is frankly twofold, and it couldn't be two complete opposite ends of the spectrum that keep me motivated. The first one is health. I truly believe, and I understand how anybody listening to this could listen to what I'm about to say and go, boy, do you over dramatic much? Well, yes, I do. Any of the P3 guys will probably tell you that. But I don't think this is being over dramatic. When I started looking at where I was, how I was living my life, my overall health, like, I wasn't sick. I've never been one who is easily sick. I'll get a cold, maybe 2 a year. Flu, can't remember. Other ailments other than like migraines that I get every once in a while, I don't routinely get sick. So it's not like that health issue. It was like I said, I would be winded going up and down steps.
Right.
I had to, this is another one of those embarrassing moments. When I got out of a recliner, it was an event. like I had to sit forward, scooch up a bit, brace myself, have an initial push off, and then get like another one on my way up. Like I couldn't just go from sitting to standing.
Wow.
It fucking took steps to get there because of lack of muscle and how bulbous I was. So health-wise, I feel like I was in trouble.
Fast and bulbous.
Like I felt like I was generally in trouble. And if I kept going down that route of a sedentary lifestyle, eating shit, it was going to get worse, and I was probably going to have an earlier death. I understand if you look at things logically, you can die any minute from any number of ailments. Car accident, random stroke, fucking meteor hits you out of nowhere. Really?
The sniper that Beef sent?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, he could find his mark one of these days. And I blame Beef on hiring subpar snipers. That's why I haven't yet been snuffed out.
That's why he never fucking snuffed him.
He never, not yet. I mean, he'll get me one day. I'm going to step in front of the wrong window. Pow.
Probably.
But I feel like I was going down a very dangerous path. And for my overall health, I didn't want to be afraid of running around the yard with my kid and having a heart attack. So it was for health. I wanted to get better for my overall health. And I think COVID was another one of those things that motivated me. Now, I know I had that little stupid COVID rant on the Frig Off Ransom channel, but jokies aside, I didn't want to be afraid. I didn't want to live in fear and go, I'm overweight, I'm in poor health, just general sedentary. Like, I don't want to be afraid to go out into the world.
Yeah.
And catch this and catch my death. Now, granted, who knows? It could still happen. But I feel like if I'm in better health, if I'm taking care of myself, if I'm fit, if I'm eating right, if I'm taking vitamins, if I'm in good shape, I can fight it off easier. And funnily enough, I did. Had it, got over it, it's fine. I still can't smell great. But that's pretty much the only lingering side effect I have. The second part, which is on a complete opposite level of wanting to get healthy, was I hate my body. I hate the reflection that I see in the mirror. I'm disgusted by what I see in the mirror. I hate it. I hate looking at my face. I hate looking at my body. I fucking hate it. And the second motivator for me is, damn it, maybe one day you'll look at yourself in the mirror and go, huh, you aren't a complete piece of shit. I mean, you might still be teetering on the piece of shit level, but that reflection that I'm seeing back in the mirror might not want to make me vomit one day. And that's the vain, sort of selfish side of things. And sorry, I'm a flawed human being. I don't want to look at myself and go, ugh. I don't. I want to look at myself and go, all right, not bad.
Yeah.
Not great, but not bad. Not bad.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I mean, being comfortable in your own skin is really important. And like, again, I know I've said that I've stayed away from social media. You wouldn't know it by saying, oh, I put a post on Facebook, but they're few and far between. It's not like we've all been at the point where we've posted on Facebook like 4 or 5 times a day. Like,
oh yeah.
And I'm not there anymore. But I posted this thing because I was getting introspective about the past year, because like almost to the day, like a year ago, I thought about where I was. Like, and I put this kind of like bulleted list of like shit that's changed because I got my act together. And one of the things I put on there, and rereading it, put on there, like at one point last year I was considering, and we'll put it this way, a permanent vacation.
Yeah.
I was. And
yep.
And now I'm like, I don't ever want to leave. I've got too many more people to annoy. Like like it's one of those things that like you can change. You can,
yes.
and learning, like I said, now I always used to say I hated myself. Now I love myself. And yeah, do I still have a gut? Yeah. Do I still have man tit, as you said? Sure. But the thing is, for me, I can get better, but I'm never going to be thin just because of my build and my genetics. But if I can post up my feet and put my back against a pallet holding a ton of pellets because it's sitting too far back and shove and make it slide, I'm good with that. Like,
yeah, man.
Like, I'm okay with doing that because I feel good about me. Like, I feel good about who I am, and and that's what matters,
Yes, it does. Oh my gosh, it does matter. And you can say, oh, that's vain, that's blah, blah. It's not, though. Being okay with who you are is very important. And I don't think I'm quite where you're at yet. I think I'm getting better. I want to get to where you're at. And, kind of like you said, I've never had the build of somebody who has strength. I'm never going to compete in a tough man competition. No matter how good I get in my cardio, even if I start going to the gym and start doing weights, like I'm not built for that. That's not my genetics.
And that's okay.
And I'm okay with that. I'm never going to be the strongest guy. I'm never going to be anywhere near the strongest guy. I'm never going to compete in a strongman competition. It's just not going to happen. I'm just not built for that. But if I can get to the point to where I can look myself in the mirror and go, okay, you know what? You're doing okay. I feel like that's very important. And, like you said earlier, it's not a brag, but I feel like it's important to acknowledge. And I think it's important that you're acknowledging it in your accomplishments. I started at 250. I'm at, I think, 211, 212 now. I started May of last year.
Yeah.
So my goal is to get to 200 by May of this year. If I can drop 50 pounds in a year, I feel like I've accomplished something. And I can see it too. Like, I still have a little bit of a second chin going on. I haven't quite been able to freaking get rid of that one yet, and it bugs the shit out of me.
The chins
of power and hatred. But my overall, my face is thinner. I looked at the P3 picture that we had whenever we went to the Indy Clearfield show.
Yep.
I'm much more spherical in the face then than I am now. I've cut down there. I was at a 42 jean pant size.
Yeah.
And that was, it wasn't necessarily comfortable, but I could still buckle them. There was definite muffin topping over it, but
muffin topping.
I didn't have to go up further. So I started at a 42. I'm at a 34 now. So
wow.
I feel like things are going in the right direction.
Yeah, for sure.
And if I keep up on it, I feel like I'll eventually get to the place where you're at. Like, I'll eventually get to the point where I can look at myself and go, "Hey, man, not so bad."
Like, and the thing is, there are things that I want to fix. Like, I mean, there are still things I want to do, but like, my goals, I don't weigh myself anymore. Like, I don't. And I know I should. I absolutely should. But, like, because I don't care about that number. I care about the number that I put on the bar. That's what I care about. Like, and the thing is, the big thing that changed was my diet. Like, yesterday and today, didn't really stick to my diet, but it was because, like, we're on a road trip with a guy. Okay, we got to, like, I eat portions smaller. I eat, like, my diet's in check. I feel better. Like, my clothes.
And that's a big part of it, too.
My clothes aren't fitting in a good way. Like, my jeans, all my jeans are enormous on me now. Like,
that's a good problem to have.
Oh, it's such a good problem. And, like, my shirts, the shirts I have, ones that I didn't wear, that have been sitting on my shelf because my gut popped out the bottom of them. Like, I was like, I'd have to pull them down, like, constantly, or like this. I only have one or two now that do that. and they're really old shirts. They're really old shirts.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that is that's phenomenal.
And like I'm going to get fitted for a tux for a wedding coming up in May.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not worried about going and getting fitted for a tux. That feels super good.
I bet that's going to be a big eye-opener for you in all the right ways.
I hope so, man.
Oh, boy, I bet it is. See, I have the opposite problem. Like, I threw away probably a few years ago, 3, 4, who knows. I never thought that I would get in shape. I never thought I would have that motivation and determination. I was like, you know what? Me? You're going to be a potato. That's where you're at now. You're in your 30s. You're living La Vida potato. And I got rid of things that were smaller, old jeans, old shirts, donated them all. So now I have 3 pairs of jeans that are 34s just because I haven't gone out and bought more. The rest are 42s, and I'm swimming in them. Most of my shirts are still double XLs, and I look like I'm swimming in them. When we went up to Cook's Forest last weekend.
How was that, by the way?
It was fun. It was nice. It was a nice little getaway. The cabin was fantastic, much better than the one that we were at before.
Oh, okay.
So, like, if the 4 of us do end up going this summer or fall or whatever, I definitely recommend going to this place that we were at, that we just went this time.
Awesome.
Much nicer, much more clean. It was better.
Awesome.
But I took a pair of swim trunks that I wore the last time we went to the beach, and they were a tarp. Like, I couldn't tie them tight enough to where they fit. So when we went out and got into the hot tub, it had a hot tub on the porch. When we went out and got into the hot tub, I had to hold them the whole way out. And then anytime I stood up and moved, I pretty much just had to, like, hand cinch them up and hold them.
That's great, dude.
And I was like, when we get home, you got to get rid of those because you can't even tie them and keep them up. You can't wear those in public. You're going to get arrested. Like, yeah, that's probably a good thing.
That's an incredibly good thing, dude. Like, that's awesome. Like,
but like, I gotta buy all new shit now, and that's fucking something I don't need. I don't need to be spending all this money on fucking clothes.
I mean, you could just become a nudist. I didn't hear a no.
Nobody wants to see that. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. Nobody wants to see that. Oh my.
Well, so we've been going on about this, about our workouts and our life changes and our inspiration and everything. So first off, thank you for coming to our TED Talk. Second of all, I wanted to tell you something because I feel like since the other 2 dum-dums are not here, we've been positive for over an hour. It's time to be a little salty. I wanted to ask. So you were one of the ones that whenever we talked about a couple episodes ago here in the Breaking Kayfabe Lounge, when we were talking about games and stuff, the game A Link to the Past was brought up, correct?
Yes, I believe it was.
You like that game?
I do.
Quite a bit.
Yes, I do.
And Tom especially has an affinity for it. A lot of people do. And I never got it. Well, I have an update. I decided to sit down and actually commit to an actual playthrough of that game. Now, I'm not using walkthroughs. I'm not using anything. I am literally going in blind.
Oh, you're going old school.
Old school. As old school as possible. I am going blind. I've had to look up one thing.
Oh, nice.
Just because I hit a wall. And I absolutely understand why that game is heralded so highly and held to such high regard. I get it.
Really?
Yeah. Like
right.
Because like even the graphics hold up. Like it's just like it is a fun adventure. It's like every time you load that game up, it's like you're going on an adventure.
Yeah, man.
I mean, because I said I didn't have a Super. I'm not looking at this through nostalgia glasses, because I didn't have a Super Nintendo. So, for me, this is, it's getting the purest experience of it. And it's both infuriating and enjoyable when you hit when you hit a wall. Like because the game will not break on you. Like it won't. Like it's been optimized. You know, it holds up. Like you can't back yourself into a corner on that game to where you can't get out. So I'm really enjoying it. I just finished the second dungeon in the Dark World.
Okay.
So it was the swamp dungeon, I think is what they call it.
Okay.
It's the one where it has the boss is an eyeball, and you have to use the hook shot to like pull the smaller enemies off of it. I just finished that, and now the thing that I'm running into is how do I get to the next dungeon? Because the Dark World, I didn't realize is segmented off. Like the right side of the map is segmented off by the river that runs through the whole map.
Oh yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out how to get over there while still being able, like, because you can get back over there in the light world because you use the mirror to get back to the light world, but it leaves that portal. Like you can't just wantonly use the mirror. You know what I mean? You can't just flip-flop back and forth. So I'm trying to figure out how to get over there in the light world and then get back to the dark world. Like I can't figure it out. And it's not making me mad. It's just one of those things that I go, there is something really obvious I'm missing.
Oh yeah.
It's like, what am I missing? Why am I not doing this right? I have to figure this out. And I just am having the damnedest of times figuring it out.
Yeah, I can remember having those times where, back when I was playing it on the Super Nintendo back in the day, before there was internet to look up, like what to do and where to go. If you didn't have the Nintendo power, you were screwed.
Oh, Nintendo power.
Yeah, right. But I can remember that. Like I can remember I would load up that game, and I would spend a session playing that game, completing nothing. Strictly wandering, thinking, okay, I know I can't get to this place from where I started in the Dark World. I just can't. Like you said, it's segmented off. So I know I have to go into the light world, find a portal, and that'll take me to where I need to go.
Wait.
But damn it all, I can't find that portal.
Wait, what?
There are portals scattered across the light world. Not like those little tornado of sparkles, but like that little pedestal. Remember you found it on Death Mountain? It was like a bluish square that you stepped on that took you into the dark world. Those are scattered throughout the light world in different locations.
No.
So if you find one of those, like if you go to the whatever side of the map you're looking to go to in the light world, there will eventually be a portal either under a rock or somewhere that will take you back to the dark world from where you need to go. But finding it is a son of a bitch.
No shit.
Yeah, so that's what you got to find, and it's, if I can remember correctly, it's usually under some sort of rock where you need like the power glove, like one of the white rocks, or even maybe sometimes under one of those black rocks where you need, I think it's the Titan's mitt to lift the heavier one. But yeah, like they're scattered, and if I can remember right, they're freaking hard as hell to find. But I think that's what you have to do.
You just blew my mind whole. Like, I had no idea. I thought that was the only one on Death Mountain.
No, I think there are a few others. I don't think there are many, but I think there are a few.
I don't even know what's real anymore. Like, I'm just like, but that's the reason why this game, I wanted to leave it as pure and unfettered. Now I've watched.
Oh, well, I hope I didn't blow it there.
Oh, no. Like, that's the thing though. And this was the caveat that I put on myself. I said, that the only way that I wouldn't feel like the experience was getting spoiled was if I was talking to people and they were like, they do what you did. You didn't like spoil anything for me. You just kind of said, oh yeah, there's portals in the light world. And once I had that realization, it's like, where are they? You didn't tell me where they are.
Right.
You just said, oh, they exist. And I'm like,
I don't think I could tell you at this point. I don't think I could tell you if I wanted to.
No.
I can't remember.
Like, but that's the thing, is that I'm sitting here and I'm just like, oh my God. Like it's that realization. It's that, like, you know, and that's why I'm so happy that I'm playing this game now. Because I remember what was your first Zelda game? Like, what's your, like, do you remember, like, the first time you played Zelda? Like, a Zelda game?
It was the original one, like the gold NES cartridge.
Oh, yeah.
The very first one, the very first Legend of Zelda, that was the first one that I played. I don't think I completed that until I was an adult, though, because I couldn't find my way around everywhere that I needed to go, I don't think. Or I would get stuck and die. So
it was unabashedly hard. That game was unabashedly hard. Like, because
I think that's one of the things, like, as video games have gone on, though, they have gotten progressively easier. Like with different save spots, auto saves. Like, if you look at, like, just Fallout as an example, I feel like Fallout 3, New Vegas, even Fallout 4 are so much easier than the original Zelda or the original Metroid. Those games were so much harder.
Oh, for sure. Like, and it's, I think it's because, like, well, and the reason is, I think there are people out there who would agree with me, and if Tom was here, I'm pretty sure he'd agree, that back in the day, video games were still, like, home console games were supposed to give you the arcade experience. And what were arcade games designed to do?
They were designed to eat your money.
Yeah, they were designed to eat your money. So that's exactly what these games were. They were just, the original ones, they were just like home versions of, you know, like arcade games, and the arcade games were insanely unfair. Like, and
that's
I mean,
a fair point.
So I kind of get it. Like, I mean, it's one of those things, like, I absolutely understand. But, like, and you're absolutely right, because the thing when you kind of take yourself out of a game and you go like, okay, there's really no consequence if I die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no consequence to death. And I think that's the reason why I like roguelites and roguelikes so much, is because there is consequence to your death. You start over.
Oh,
like,
yeah. Yep.
Like Binding of Isaac, Dead Cells, Hades. Like, there's actual consequence to failure. And I dig that. I like that. I like that because it forces you to play the game smarter, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you have to be more careful. Like, you just can't be like, oh, okay, I'm just going to go through this willy-nilly. Like Fallout, you can really go through it willy-nilly because you can save at any point. You don't even have to find a save station.
No.
You can just pause the game and save it. You have auto saves that happen if you have those turned on. Anytime you come in or out of a building, or anytime you fast travel, it auto saves for you. So there's no real consequence to death. You die, you're like, oh, okay, I'll respawn and I'll just go in a different direction until I'm stronger. And then I'll go back to where I died and I'll house it.
Yeah.
No biggie. No biggie.
And I think that's the appeal of games like Dark Souls. Like, because Dark Souls, there's consequence to death in the sense that it sets you back to your last bonfire. Mm-hmm. But on that death, when you die, like, how much do you know about Dark Souls there, Ransom?
Very, very little.
Okay, so the way the mechanic works is, you know, I mean, the first Dark Souls, it had a special edition called Prepare to Die. It was the
my lord.
Oh yeah, it's like when you die in that game, you die, and then on the screen there's just big red text, and it says you died. Like, it's and listen.
That's definitive.
Oh, Well, what happens is, so the in-game currency you get from killing enemies, right? So, and it's souls. You collect souls, and that's kind of the in-game currency. So, as you play the game, you collect souls and use it to level up. You use it to buy items, use whatever. When you die, your souls will drop where you died. So let's say you've spent the game, you've collected, gosh golly gee, I don't know, we'll say 50,000 souls. It'll, like, if you die, that spot where you died, it'll leave your souls. It'll send you back to the last bonfire, which is like a checkpoint that you rested at. You have a chance to get back to where your souls are and collect them. And if you collect them, then you have them again. And if you die, you just drop them again. However, if you die on the way to collecting your souls, those souls are gone. So yeah, there's actual consequence to failure in that game.
Yeah, that's... Oh my goodness. I've never played any of the Dark Souls, but I feel like that's a game mechanic that is good because it, like you said, it challenges you and it makes you think and play smarter. Because like if you died and went back to your bonfire, you're like, okay, well, wherever I lost all those souls at, now I have to be super careful getting back there.
Yep.
Because if I die again, all that work that I did to collect them, gone.
And dude, the thing is, you get to a certain point in that game where if you have X amount of soul, like if you save them up, save to level up, you're like, oh, I'll save it. And then you die, like, man, and you lose it all. It's the worst. Dude, it's the worst. Like, there's other games that have that kind of mechanic. One of them is Hollow Knight, which I've been saying for weeks I was going to put up another Poot the Bard episode of Hollow Knight. I just haven't had to sit down and edit and record. It's not my career. I don't have hundreds of thousands of subscribers. Like, I don't feel like I'm just kind of doing it at my leisure. Like at this point, you know what I mean? So
I've heard of that game, but I've never played it myself either.
Man,
is it something you recommend?
It's a hybrid of Metroid. It's a Metroidvania mixed with Dark Souls elements. So like, it has the explorative nature of, like, the framework of the game is kind of Metroidvania-ish. It has, so like you have a giant map that you can freely explore, but there are some parts of the map that are not available until you acquire a certain power, right? Sound familiar?
Yep, absolutely.
So, but then you also, and you can upgrade your weapons, but you can only do that at certain places once you acquire certain materials. And the way it works in that is the way death kind of works in that game is the same way. So when you die, you leave behind a shade of yourself. So it's this like floating black ghost of yourself. You will go back to a bench you rested at, or you sat on the last time, and then you have to go back to your shade, kill your shade to recollect your currency. Lord. Now your shade, it's not super hard to kill your shade, but the thing that really makes it hard is where you died is usually not convenient.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Are
you potentially fighting not only your shade, but whatever enemies were around that ended up killing you?
Exactly, and your shade will attack you. And your shade has all the powers you have. Like,
yikes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a definite challenge.
It is, but the thing is, man, if you're into exploring, if you're into challenging gameplay, if you're into games that look pretty, that has an interesting story, and a fantastic, and I cannot stress this enough, a fantastic score, then Hollow Knight's free.
That's good.
Hollow Knight's free. Dude, I bought the soundtrack Like that's how much
nice.
I love that game. Like that's
okay.
It's really, really good. Like
yeah.
And
see, that's what Halo does for me.
Oh really?
Yeah, the story. Like I can understand how a lot of people can say like, oh, it's a it's a nice sci-fi first-person shooter, and it is.
Yeah.
But if you get invested in the story and the characters, oh my lord, it's so. I would say the Halo franchise is probably one of those franchises that, when you take a step back and look at the story of it, my lord, is it a depressing story. Like the games are phenomenal. I love them. I can play them over and over again. I know where everything is. Nothing is a surprise at this point.
Yeah.
But they're still fun. But my lord, the story is just, it's so sad. I think we talked about it at one point, and spoilers ahead for anybody who hasn't played Halo Reach, which canonically comes at the very beginning. Like it's the very first game in the story arc, but I think it was like the fourth game released, maybe fourth or fifth. But you don't play as Master Chief in that. You play as a different Spartan, and you have a different Spartan team. And spoilers for you here, Poot, so stop me if you don't want to hear it.
You're okay. I'm not. Halo's playing Halo multiplayer is my thing. I'm more interested in having someone like you tell me the story. Okay.
So in Halo Reach, it's the first time that humans have ever come across the Covenant, which are the alien race that you wind up battling throughout the entire series.
Okay.
It's the first time that, it's the first time that any Covenant has ever shown up on a human planet. Like until this point, like everything has been good.
Okay.
Humans and Covenant have fought, but it was never a losing battle until this story. And I think you're in a six-person Spartan team. You play as one of the six, and throughout the game, your team gets picked off one by one. Your teammates get killed. And it comes down to the very last mission. The very last mission, you can't win. Because storyline-wise, your character dies on the planet Reach. So when you complete the game, the very last stage of the game, your only objective that comes up on the screen, it just says survive. And no matter what you do, you can't. You're destined to die.
Oh.
And no matter how hard you fight, how smart you play, you'll play that level until eventually your shields just don't recharge. There's no more health kits, and the Covenant just keeps coming, and you wind up dying. And the last thing you see in that game is your helmet. Like you take your helmet off because it gets cracked, you can't breathe. You drop it on the ground. You don't see your character die, but like that's the last shot, is your helmet with a hole in its visor on the ground of this burning planet. And my lord, for someone who plays games and wants the character you're playing as to win, like I want that happy ending, to have that sort of a depressing ending and know that's what the ending is destined to be, man, it's depressing when you look at the story. And like all these people died.
Well,
your character that you played as, that you invested in, dead. Oh.
Yeah, but see, here's the weird thing, and maybe this is the sadist or masochist or whatever you want to say in me. I love stories that do that. I love it. Like
Oh, really?
Oh my God, I love it because it when you can get that invested in a game, like when you can get that invested, it feels so good. Like it's really cathartic. Like I don't know how else to put it. Like, I mean, when it's kind of like the game. What's it called? Limbo. The game Limbo.
Is that like a side scroller?
Yeah, it's a side scroller platform puzzle game. And
right, okay.
And I played it on the channel, and it's weird because you don't know anything about the world. The story's not laid out for you, and it's very kind of esoteric. And it's a weird journey, and you get weirdly invested in your character and the world, and the ending is so open-ended that it leaves you kind of confused, and it leaves you sitting there going, what the hell just happened? Like,
is that the one where at the end, is it your sister that you're trying to save through it?
No.
Isn't it a girl that you're trying to save?
No, that's Braid.
Oh, okay, all right. Sorry, I was thinking of the wrong one.
Yeah, Braid is the one you're thinking of. And Braid, I also did a playthrough of Braid. I played Braid. I was going to do a playthrough on my channel of it, but it got copyright struck because of the music in the game. And that was one of my favorite things about that game was the score. And whenever I saw that, I went, all right, well, I guess I'm not doing that now. Screw you.
Yeah, right.
And like, but still, nonetheless, like that game, again, it was by the end of it, you go, whoa, like, cause it's okay. Have you played it? Do you want it spoiled or do you want it left open?
I haven't played it, but I've watched people play like certain parts of it. Is it the one where like your character's all black and you can just see his eyes?
No, that's Limbo.
Right.
Yeah.
Which one are you talking about now? Braid or Limbo?
Braid. Braid's the one where you can like slow down and reverse time.
Yeah. And is it your sister that you're trying to save throughout the thing?
Supposedly. It's a princess.
A princess. And then isn't it like at the end you get to the point where you can finally reach her and it's like you hear this big explosion and then it's just nothing?
No. It's
okay. So
spoilers for anyone who's listening and doesn't want the game Braid, which is what, like 15 years old now?
It's gotta be.
Who doesn't want it spoiled? Braid, the whole game, you're supposed to feel like you're the hero. Like, you're the hero. You're the hero of this game. You're the, like, you're going to save the princess. You're doing this. But the end of the game, you get to the end, you almost reach the princess, and then all of a sudden it switches, and here you kind of realize, oh, you're the villain. You're trying to kidnap this woman.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And it's like you're this kind of maniacal, like obsessive, almost kind of stalker.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and it completely takes your entire experience. You've been invested a certain way in this character and his journey and the whole 9 yards. And then all of a sudden you go, oh, I'm the bad guy.
Wow, what a mind fuck that is.
Dude, it was a huge mind. It made me, and then the thing is too, you're like, you feel like dirty, and like you feel like you've been cheering for this guy the whole time and he's just a dick. And you're like,
oh no.
And you're just like, oh, and like, but that's the thing is that's not a happy ending. That's objectively not a happy ending. Yes. However, it's so good because then all of a sudden you have this, you've had this investment and you're looking for the cathartic release of the end of the game and you succeeding, and it completely turns it on its head.
Oh my goodness.
And you're just like, and then all of a sudden you, at the end of the game, you're left going, oh my God, and then you think back to everything else and you're like, oh, all these enemies were actually the good guys, and like, you know, you're
does it all make sense at the end?
I mean, yes and no. I mean,
when you look back on it, you go like, oh yeah, it's clear that I'm the villain.
Yeah, no. Well, yes,
in
but
a way,
the way
not like super obvious.
Now, it's been years since I've played it, so I could be fuzzy on all this. But like, it's the point. Like, throughout the story, at the end of each chapter, you find a book, and you read that chapter. Like, it gives you more of the story.
Okay.
Like, so you read it, and then it comes up on the screen. You can read, and go, okay, I'm going to keep going. And then to realize that you're just that, like, and then you think back to all those entries, those journal entries, and you go, oh my God, you know, like, it's so good. It's so good. Like, and so I hope people who actually want to play that game didn't have anything spoiled for them. But it was so cool. Like, that's the thing. That's why I love games. And that's why I love, like, those kind of whatnots and what have yous. Like, with the emotional investment in games. Even, like you said, Halo. People have that misconception that it's just a shooter. You know, a sci-fi shooter. There's so much... I mean, there's novels and stuff, too, right?
Oh, yeah. Like, I have several books that go into, you know, different stories from different characters and things that, you know, even happen to the main character, Master Chief, that, you know, take place in between different games.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've really cultivated a good story out of it.
And before we get going, because we're getting to burrito time here, but then there's also games that don't play out the story in cinematics, or even with Braid, like, that tells the story through journal entries or whatever, and it's kind of put in front of you. Like Dark Souls, if you were to sit down and just play Dark Souls, you're like, there's a giant opening cinematic that lays out the world you're in and why you're doing what you're doing. But then that's really it. Like, it doesn't, there's like dialogue with NPCs, but it's very incidental. You don't, like, there are a lot of, like, there are, like, shopkeepers and stuff, and they're like, you've come this far. You know, like, you don't get, like, the story laid out to you other than what they give you at the beginning. The way it tells the story is through item descriptions.
Oh.
So if you read the description for the item, and it's not super extensive, it'll just give you enough that you go, oh. And then it'll relate to a thing in the game that you'll see, or like it'll relate to another item's description, or it will relate to something, whatever. And if you go online and go down the rabbit hole of Dark Souls lore, it's amazing. Oh, it's incredible. Like, that world is so rich with story, but you have to want to find it and want to know it to get it.
Oh, I see.
I dig that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. And we could keep going on and on, but I think it's about closing time here at the Breaking Kayfabe Lounge. And Ransom, thanks for joining me here on this one, man.
Yeah, I like to do these. I like to be able to step out of the world of, you know, us talking about wrestling and just touch on a multitude of different things. You know, stuff happening in our personal lives, games that we like to play, things like that. It's a nice little break just to be able to kind of, you know, catch up in these days of not being able to hang out in person.
Yeah, and let's hope that things start to even out more, because I'll tell you what, I don't know about you, but I'm starting to go stir crazy, man.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But
summer wasn't bad. Like, I could do things outdoors.
Yeah.
But freaking in this cold and being locked up in the house with, you know, winter and all that, like, oh my, I'm so stir crazy and ready for this winter to be over.
Absolutely. And hopefully you folks are holding up out there, and we'll have more episodes of the Breaking Kayfabe Lounge, and of course the P3 podcast as well. And also make sure you subscribe to Frig Off Ransom, his YouTube channel. He does a great job, especially with his editing. I'll tell you what, his editing is always spot on. Go subscribe there. Make sure you check out Casual Gaming Dad on Facebook and Casual Gaming Dad's Corner. Also on YouTube, that's Casual Gaming Dad. and on Twitch, Casual Game Dad 84. And hopefully soon, if we can get more of the assets together, talking to you here, Beef, we're going to have Beef's weekly cereal reviews on our Facebook page. So for the Pittsburgh Pile Driver Podcast, also give us a subscribe as well. We'd really appreciate that. And even though, like I said, I'm kind of in a very leisurely way posting on Poot the Bard, make sure you pop on over to my channel and check it out. I have gameplay stuff. I also started doing guitar gear reviews if you're into that thing. It's my channel. I do what I want. Screw focusing on one thing.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah. And also, hopefully, listening to this, you guys decide to, whether you get yourself physically active or whatever, and, to help your mindset, or if you escape into the world of a good video game, hopefully that helped you out. For now, I'm going to go and put my glass back on the counter and put the coaster on top. Show. We're done. We're done drinking. Have a good night. Thanks for joining us in the Breaking Kayfabe Lounge.
Good night, everybody.